Australia and India have a rich and shared history underpinned by strong higher education and research links. This opens an opportunity to grow trade relationships with them through education, particularly post the COVID pandemic. In 2019, Indian students studying in Australia contributed more than $6.4 billion to our economy. Joining me live from India is Universities Australia CEO Catriona Jackson. Catriona, thank you so much for joining us. You are in India at the moment. Tell us about the work you're doing over there.
Coming to you from Delhi, Danica, hello. Look, it's just a time of real opportunity to boost the already really strong and deep ties between India and Australia. The education system has played a really profound part in that. As you said, a very substantial economic contribution. But I think even more important than that is the person-to-person, student-to-student ties, scholars who've come to our country and really enriched it. It's fascinating being here. India is one of the few countries in the world that's recovered really, really smartly and really quickly from that hideous thing you don't even want to mention, the pandemic. And there's enormous opportunity here to both enrich our country, enrich Australia, but also enrich India, a really great democracy.
Well, we know that Australia has been closed for the last 2 years. So how can Australia now work with India to strengthen those ties in the sector?
Look, there are so many ways, Danica. There's a new free trade agreement, which is historic. India doesn't sign these very often. Some real advantages for us in all sorts of ways. I'm here with a group of CEOs this week investigating those opportunities. But at the moment, there are an enormous number of Australians travelling to India and same the way back. So we have the Indian Education Minister in Australia very recently. Many very senior Indians are coming to Australia to have increasing conversations about really rocket fueling the relationship, and we can see all sorts of benefits. There are incredible ambitions in this country to educate their population. I don't know if you know, and this number is always sits me back in my seat. 1 million Indians turn 18 every month. That's 1 million every single month. This government is really, the government here is really determined to offer the kind of educational opportunity that those kids deserve. And as you can imagine, it's an enormous challenge. They're asking Australia to help, and we are absolutely here and ready to do so.
There are incredible figures that you just quoted just a moment ago there. I just want to touch on that point, though, because we have been closed for the better part of 2 years. Has that at all had an impact on international students wanting to come to Australia and study? What is the feeling that you're getting from being in India?
So the feeling in India is that it's made them even keener to get back to Australia and study during that terrible period of COVID, especially for people in Delhi. We were talking to colleagues over here about how they were coping, and the message we got was just they are really, really keen to get back on Australian shores to study, but also incredibly keen after a period of real trauma for everyone. India had it really bad, especially here in Delhi, to just get on with their lives, to forge their way in the world, to make the best of themselves they possibly can and make the best contribution to their nation. But of course, many of these students are really bright, really ambitious, really hardworking, come to Australia, get a world-class education in Australia. Some of them work for a while in Australia. Sometimes they end up making their home in Australia. But most of them come back here or come back to another country and become incredible global citizens with a real affection and love and knowledge of Australia, and often make business ties and enrich both nations.
What is the visa process like at the moment for students wanting to come to Australia? How confident are you that this will be ironed out ahead of the university term beginning again next year?
Look, this has been a matter of discussion while we've been here. I think it's fair to say that the government gets real brownie points for this. They've worked really hard to clear those backlogs. The backlogs were a problem. We had lots of students who were saying, I want to come back, but I just can't get a visa, please help me. Claire O'Neill made it really clear in the Jobs and Skills Summit that enough was enough. They've contributed additional money to clearing those visas. And the news I'm getting as recently as last night from a Vice-Chancellor was the backlog is almost cleared. So just a tiny bit more patience from some students, but we should be right pretty soon.
That's good news. Do you at all have an estimation then at this stage about how many international students we may be expecting next year for university?
Look, I've stopped doing that crystal gazing thing because it's just too hard. But we can certainly say that recovery to post-COVID levels, maybe next year, maybe a little bit later. Keep in mind, though, for some universities, the students they didn't get in 2020 are students they haven't got in second year, in 21, and third year in 23. So there is some ongoing damage to some universities in quite a profound way. But we're seeing recovery and working in collaboration with India, a country with whom we have terrific links already. We're in a really good position.
That's terrific to hear. Catriona Jackson, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us from India this morning.